start. Okay, let's start. You ready? Okay. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Okay, I should start talking.
Yeah, please.
Okay, hello guys. Welcome to today's edition on Mediapedia, a subset of Shining African's Testimony Ministry. I'm Oluwakemi Joan Anifoshe, OJA Oja. Today we have an amazing guest. Before I go to the guest, we have an amazing topic to be talking about. Literally, it's about a book review. It's titled Bonding. And I was saying that the week, the Sunday that celebrated our fathers, so we felt that out of the fatherhood of the season of fatherhood, we should bring about this book review. The book is amazing. I read it, and I was really amazed. It's so wonderful, and the author really did a good did justice to the book. So joining me on today's show is the author of Bonding. The book talks about the bond between a father and the son. I feel very jealous because it's about the father and the son and not the child. But then let's invite our author of the book, Bonding. Welcome to Mediapedia today. It's great having you here.
Thank you for having me, Oluwakemi. It is great, and somehow being on this side of the table today. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So let's fly.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, for people that know him, I would like to introduce him again. His name is Mr. Pelum-Folarin. He's the author of the book Bonding. Very amazing book, really needs my heart. I was just like, wow, this person did justice to this book. Like I felt like I was like if I was a father, like I've known everything that fatherhood entails, but then I know that we still have a lot of things to know. So let's quickly go to the book review generally, the book Bonding. So my question is that something must have inspired you to write about fatherhood. Seeing that you're a father, or was it that what inspired you? Don't let me begin to give you answers to your question. What inspired you to write the book?
Well, we are inspired by many things. Thank you again, Oluwakemi, for having me on this show. And to answer your question, we are inspired by many things. And someone like me, I do many things. So I can't really tell you now what inspired me in specific. But I know there was a necessity, or there is a need for us to start talking as fathers. There are several books and several programs that are designed for women, and men seems to be so busy. We don't have time for things like that. You go to churches, you see more women. You go to schools, you see more women everywhere. And then who is talking to fathers? So I just felt, well, there are several people, several great authors that have addressed, the subject matter of fatherhood. I am fully aware of Dr. Miles Monroe of blessed memory, and there are several authors. So I felt, let me lend my voice based on, how I was inspired that particular time, because the book we are talking about was actually published in the year 2019, 2019. So I know there is something 19 there. 2019, about 2 years ago. So I felt a need to embark on such, projects, and with good teammates, because we have to set up a team to see to the thorough, editing and all that has to be looked into. But just inspired by pains, inspired by happiness, inspired by appointment, inspired by the environment, inspired by the fatherlessness that the world is suffering from, inspired by all of this, inspired by the influence of media and how media is taking us away, inspired by several things, and inspired by the love that myself and my mom, God bless her, so share, and inspired by, my dad. Let me just stop
there. Okay, well, it's so good that truly, when we look at the society, you see many conferences that they hold for women, many conferences, you see books on motherhood, how to be a good mother, a good wife. But you can see 100 of those books and you see just one of its kind that has been given to fathers. So, sometimes the society has left the fathers to begin to enter into the role of fatherhood, even without proper preparation for it. Okay, so I want you to just highlight a few stuff, because I know as being a father is just more than you impregnating a woman, and because you're a man, you have a child, that makes you a father.
Okay, what's the question now?
Responsibilities of fathers, seeing the society, what do you feel that, fathers, how do you feel that fathers has left their roles and they've neglected and given into mothers? What do you think a father's role should be like in the home, really?
Okay. This is a very serious and a very insightful question. And I'm going to answer that question. Before we delve too much into what we are discussing, I have prepared a very short video that I would like us to see together. Let me quickly share that video with us. That is going to capture a whole lot about what we are going to talk about, or what we've been talking about. Mute your okay. All right, kindly mute your
This one. I'll talk to my auntie.
The man was told not to worry about the car. But hope you heard what he said. He said, I am not worried about the car, worried about this great gift that, I've been blessed with. Now, your question that how is it or why is it that men are, leaving their responsibility in the home front for the wives? And, many people want to talk. They say, my mom, my mom, my mom. You hear that most often. They make more reference to their mothers. So the question is, where are fathers? Now, one of the best things that we have seen over time is because of the way we allow our children to grow up, the two genders, a boy and a girl. So when you take special interest in your children, male children, and you make them feel that, no, I'm the man, I cannot the plates in the kitchen, I cannot, mix, I cannot wash my mother's or my dad's, this I can only iron because that is the work for men. Now, we are in a way instilling a character into them. We are instilling a culture into them. And that is the culture of irresponsibility. So we grow up thinking, no, this is not my job. It is not my duty to cook. It is not my duty to do this. It is not my duty to do laundry for my wife. It is not my duty. So we become unnecessarily inflated with pride. And we see ourselves as being above women because that's how we're brought up. Few parents would remove that distinction between their children. Whatever the boy is doing, the girl is doing. Whatever the girl is doing, the boy is doing. And that is the way to do it. I called it one of the greatest sin is to segregate within the family, within our homes, taking the boy as, treating the boy as though there is something that is special about the boy. No, nothing is special. They are both children. They are equally important. They are here for different duties. Their assignments are different. They do not have the same assignment in a way. So the girl is unique, or the female child is unique, very, very unique, just as the male child is unique. Both of them are differently unique. Yeah. And then it is the duty of parents to see them as children. Don't say, hey, my male son can only do this. Okay. Let me quickly paint a scenario. The father comes back from work and says, oh, where is a female name, Esther or Elizabeth? Where is Elizabeth? Oh, he's not yet at home. This is 6:30. Where is she? Where is she? Oh, okay, Daddy. She told me that she wants to get something outside, or she has gone to play with her friends. Oh, why? By this time of the day, 6:30? Now let's flip the coin a bit. If it is Samuel, or let's say Elijah, or Charles, that is in that same situation, and Daddy comes back and say, oh, where is Charles? He said, Charles has gone to see his friend. Oh, 6:30. Oh, 6:30. So when is he going to be back home? They are going to treat Charles with more, flexibility because they feel, oh, he's a male child, he can go out anytime. But that female child, oh, the female child is always being policed every time, whether in the day or in the night. So this distinction is what I have called the greatest sin, though not addressed in the bonding, but it is the greatest sin, making male children feel they are superior to their female, counterparts, and that I call greatest sin. So, and that boy, why is this important? I am not focusing on fathers. Why this that I just talked about is important is that little boy, I was a little boy 30 years ago. Now I'm a father. And whatever was instilled in me 30 years ago, that is the reality, unless I take extra effort, deliberate effort to address whatever I feel this is out of alignment with things that I value so much. So those little boys, we grow up to be man. And whatever you have imputed into them, that is going to be the reality. So don't let me jump ahead of myself. So let me wait for the next question. Thank you.
Well, while growing up, we used to sing this mommy in the kitchen, cooking rice, daddy in the parlor watching film. And we've been made to understand that the place of the woman is in the kitchen. I have a problem with the song personally, because growing up, we were made to know that the father just comes home, as per the father, he comes to the house, he sits down, the mother will be cooking, at the same time washing the clothes, at the same time doing their children's assignments. So I really don't know where this, how did we get to this place? How did we get to that point that, the society has left the woman to basically do everything?
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. How did we get to this? Because I understand that, it's the fatherhood, the choices in the home that makes him turn out to become the type of father he becomes. Okay. If no special care is not given to the child. I'm still going to come to the bonding book, but I don't want to establish some, background before we actually go into the book itself.
Yes. Okay, I will just ask a rhetorical kind of question. If you come to my house and you have to spend 7 days in my house, and you discover the day one, I'm the one that cooked. Your day one, you might feel, okay, you want to just surprise everybody. That's why it's cooking. You won't ask much question. You won't ask, but wait. This day two, in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the night, I was busy, or I'm so busy in the kitchen, cooking. Day three, the same thing. Day four, the same thing. For the 7 days, okay, don't let this make it historical. Please, Oluwakemi, sincerely tell me what you will feel. Perhaps if I'm the only one that will see you off to your car while you are going, wouldn't you ask me some questions? And perhaps I shouldn't jump into your mind. What are the questions you will ask me?
Because I'm African and the way we're being brought up. What about your wife? Where is she?
Okay, now it is not. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And several questions, but that is actually the basic. Where is your wife? Why is it that you are always in the kitchen? About your wife? Is she sick? Is this your area of passion? Are you well, I am not a cook and I hate kitchen. Now, we all have, I said the female child is uniquely different. The male child is uniquely different. They are both beautiful. They are both unique. Now, the female child has her own, unique duties, just as the male child rather. They both have unique role to play. So my own role is not in the kitchen. I'm sorry. My role is not in the kitchen. I can cook very, very, very well. You can ask my wife, but I don't enjoy cooking. I don't enjoy it. So because my mom, all of us, we're 4 boys and we're always in the kitchen, doing amala, doing eba, and doing all that kind of things. I don't think he has ever told us to cook jollof rice. But to our ladies, those ones cooked, different kind of things. Now, it is not my passion, just as, again, I don't like farming. So not my area of strength. So now, a female child is, trained in a particular pattern. And most of this pattern are imposed by the society and by the civilization and by the scriptures, by religion. There are several factors that are constituted to this, formation, both in boys and in girls. Now, I have said many things. I don't want to miss the question. Quickly remind me the question.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said, kindly remind me the question.
Okay, how did we get to the point where we remove the fathers from doing. I'm not saying that the father should be washing plates and clothes, but
all right.
how did we get there?
Yes, we got there by, I just said few things, by things that formed us, shaped us into this religion. Tradition, if you are Igbo, if you are Hausa, if you are Yoruba, there is a way your tradition has formed you. And we become, the accumulation of these factors eventually. So we got to this point by those influences. And then how do we break away from these influences? Then we need to sit down and then start stretching for informations that will help us, based on what are you looking for. For example, before you go to a bookshop, what are you looking for? Okay, I think I need to read a book on, on what is it called? Management. So when you get into that bookshop, you already know what you are looking for. There are several books, thousands of books on management, but you can't go to the shelf where they keep books on medicine, on sciences, on geography. What you need is management. So how did we get to this point? We got to this point by the influence. Media too participated in this formation. And I am talking about taking the question a bit further, that how do we, undo this effect? It is by getting civilized. This word, civilized, that I just said is a very deep one. When I say civilized, I'm not talking about the Western civilization. I'm talking about being civilized. Now, there are things that a wife desires that if it is you, that the way, okay, let me put it in this simple form, that if my wife is not my wife, if you are my wife, I have to take the form of your own values. This will not be me. I will have to take, yes, I will still retain some original things, but to make you happy, there are things you valued, which are different from what my wife values. So now, in a way, I am being, I am compromising on some of the things that have held me bound, or that I have, hold so tight to myself that, no, this is me. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. But because of the beautiful lady that I married, or that we married each other. Okay. Sometimes you are talking and they say, I married you. No, I married you too. Well, we married each other. Okay. So because of that, I have to find a way to metamorphose into the kind of person that will make her happy. For example, if you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, there are things we value that you ladies are very, very unique. And all of you have your different language of love. To some, is just smiling. Oh, to some, is just, touching. To some, is just, oh, open the door for them and you've made their day. To some, it is telling them, oh, please sit down. That please that you put at the front of that, oh, will just make everything become so soothing and so subtle for them. So, but to some others, if you say, please sit down, they'll say, why do you have to say please? That just tell me to sit down. The way you would talk to a male, talk to me like that. That you don't have to treat me specially or like a weaker vessel. Now we undo these things by trying to understand our partner. They are not slaves. Understand them and know what they really, really, really desire. Understanding them would mean, okay, when we are right, and we should say sorry. We should, swallow our pride and say sorry. Read great books. Books helps us to get civilized. Books are powerful. They remove some. Books doesn't mean you don't know. Reading doesn't mean you don't know what you are reading about. Reading does mean, okay, I want to just see the opinion of other people. And sometimes you will even encounter facts that you know nothing about. in those books. So we got to this point by the influence of religion, the community we lived in, the tradition we grew up within, things that we see often, and and many other factors.
Thank you so much because of our time. So let's even now go to the bonding proper. I from it I was able to discover that many times they say the son and the mother and the father and the daughter. So, but this book emphasizes on the fact that the father and the son actually should have a bond, because it's like seeing yourself how you were some years back. You're able to relate. You might not be able to relate with me as a daughter because you have never been a daughter. So I feel the bond actually be more between the father and the son. But these days you see that the son usually tilts towards the mother, and this daughter tilts towards the father. So what are the factors that have caused these things? Is it that the father that is supposed to understand a son, a male child, doesn't understand him again, seeing that you were once a child, the same man that you were once a boy? So I think the man should be able to understand the child, the son, even more than the mother. So why do you think there's always this gap between the son and the father?
Several years ago, Uluwakemi, I heard this from a man preaching from, an altar, and he said, assumption is a sin. That's profound. That was several years ago. Okay, assumption is a sin. Now, assumption, that is the reason why, the one beautiful relationship, it is not that, okay, when the child was very young, what happened was he must have been very close to the dad, the male child, very close to the dad at a very young age. But as we advance in age, something started happening. Daddy refused to understand us because daddy assumes he knows everything about us. He knows what we are about to say. He knows the reason why we didn't do what he asked us to do. He knows everything because he was once a child, forgetting the fact that the time has changed. And in fact, we are living in a different world. When I see my 4-year-old do stuff, I still ask myself this week that, wow, when I was his age, was I able to do what this guy is doing? And the answer is no, as in big no. So a whole lot has changed. And then we fathers need to stop assuming. Now, mothers don't assume when we get to a particular stage. They engage us in conversation. My mom would call me, Pelumi, God bless her soul, God bless her soul. My mom would call me and say, Pelumi, Wanulewa, that means come inside. And then she would tell me, sit down. She would ask me questions. And I will tell her everything. My dad, maybe when I was, in that formation, stage, still at home after secondary school or before finishing in secondary school, I can't remember a moment. My dad is a good person. He's a very kind person. He's a great person, a very fantastic man. But the point is that my dad never called me and said, Pelumi, sit down, we need to talk. In fact, if that ever happens, he is the only one that we talk. It's not going to be a two-dimensional. He will talk, lambast you, and say, I'm done. If you like, change. If you like, don't change. Don't go away. All kind. Now, but my mom would never say that. Mom would stop assuming. Immediately a child gets to the stage of puberty, then mothers, they stop assuming. They want to know, why are you doing this? Is it that I'm not, because I would like to see it from your own, perspective, viewpoint. And that is why many mothers, even their sons, are going into the jail cell. They will still be defending that child because they have been part of every process of the journey. They will always defend that, no, my child, even in the prison, they will still be saying, you are my child. Small thing, Father, I will disown you. Because they assume. They assume they know. They assume they know everything. They assume, and their age is so real to them. You know, immediately they start clocking 50, 55, 60. You hear things like, at 50, will I be lying at 50? At 60, will I be lying? At, you know, they are so, that age is so much into them. Whereas we need much more than that. Children need someone that can feel their pain. That your child doesn't understand mathematics doesn't mean is an inferior child or something is wrong with that child. For example, when I was in secondary school, there was no moment a teacher does anything in class that I understood it. I would have to leave the class, pick up the book, and read. If I take enough time to read, then I will understand the whole scope, and nobody on earth will be able to take that thing away from me. Now, you can now imagine my dad knowing, I'm just creating a scenario now. Now, you can now imagine my dad saying, okay, I was there when that woman was teaching you. She taught you for 3 hours. Come and tell me what she taught you. I won't be able to reproduce it. That is me for you. Now, daddy now saying, see your head, you have this kind of head. Something is wrong with you. You have gone to school, you are wasting my money. Hey, your child do not waste, or your children rather, do not waste your money. It is our duty as parents to do all that we are doing for our children, whether they say thank you or not. That is not really matter at this point. What we have a responsibility to take care of them without looking back and without saying, despite all the money I'm spending on you. Whose duty is it to spend money on
the children?
On the children. No big deal. It is your responsibility. They didn't beg us to come here. We brought them here, and we must be able, even if it gets to a point that we won't be able to meet up to a particular need, there should be a conversation, there should be a discussion on it, that the child will understand that, yes, my dad will get it for me later. We have, discussed about it. There should be communication. So we get to this point because there are a lot of assumptions in the family. Daddy just assumes he knows everything. He assumes he knows everything. And that is a single factor that I want to leave with us. That fathers, stop assuming you know. Even you know, it is important we still talk about it for clarification. Yes. That, okay, why did you do that? I did it because if the child is not talking, don't slap him or her. Okay, we are talking about male child. Don't slap him. Don't beat him. Yes, we will be tempted to shout, but we shouldn't make that a custom. Our male children, better still, shouldn't be used to us nagging, shouting, and talking at the top of our voice every time. That should be strange to them. So we should stop assuming we know them, we know their next steps, we know what they need. We should ask and always enjoy communicating with them. So we got to this point where male child starts, tending towards mom's side because daddy usually assumes, and he doesn't want to understand sometimes. He just talk as the king of the universe that this is what I want and nobody can change it. You must study medicine and that is it. Medicine, medicine, medicine. Nobody can change that. So there is a very great need for flexibility in this world. If a father survived by that in the 70s, in the 60s, it is understandable. But in this 21st century, it is not possible for a father to survive that way. So let me stop by just chipping in this. One of my big uncle called sometimes ago and accused me, Pelumi, why is it that you don't call? What is wrong? And I said, well, it is not my responsibility to call anybody. Whoever feels, okay, I need to hear If I need to hear your voice, if that is very present, I will call. So it is not anybody's responsibility to call anybody. So fathers expecting too much from their children, they don't even want to know what you are going through. They don't want to know the job you are doing. They don't want to know how tight your time is. What they want is what they want. So that flexibility, I have said two things majorly. Assumption is a sin. Let's desist from it completely. If you read the story of Kofi in that book, Bonding, that story is so profound. And, the father was assuming that the boy is stubborn and the boy too was assuming. So assumption should not even be allowed at all in the family. Family should talk about everything.
Okay. Thank you so much for that very profound, those words that you said. Well, I feel that the assumption, I now understand why, the mother would be tilted towards the son, because, she has never been in his shoes. She literally doesn't understand what it feels like to be a man. So, she might want to understand. That's why she might be able to relate with her son more. So, and we can see that, the mother is always at home, probably because of the way she's been fashioned. She wants to listen. So basically, I just feel that in this whole talk is because the fathers are not always, I'm the man of the house. I know it all. Everything. This man thing. Yes, you are the man of the house and you are the head of the home. But then there should be times where you listen to your children.
Absolutely.
If you look at statistics, shows that many people that are involved in crimes and people that are imprisoned, look at them. Their fathers were not around.
Absolutely.
Yes, the mother can grip the home, but when the father is around, there is this way he's able to influence the son, the children, especially the son. The son sees a figure that he wants to be like. Many fathers, you see that their sons don't even want to be like them when they grow up. Yeah. And those things are things that they just say. But subtly somewhere in their heart, if care is not taken, they don't want to be like them when they grow up. But somehow, they find themselves acting like their fathers.
That's right.
So there is a place, because I wrote somewhere in the book that, it's very easy to be a father, but it's a whole lot of work to be a modeled daddy. That is a man that a son will look up to and say, I want a father when I grow up. Even so many daughters don't even want to, when they say, do you want to marry a man like your father? I say, God forbid, because of the way the father has failed in his responsibility as a father. Okay, you are talking about the fact that, a father should not, I want us to quickly round up, because a father should not shout at his children all the time and everything. So how do we draw the thin line between discipline and love? I don't want to beat my children. I don't want them to see me as a terror in the home. And then in the same vein, we have to still discipline these children. If you don't discipline some people, they can just. So how do we draw the thin line between? For me now, while I was young, my daddy, whenever he shouts at me, he still calls me back and tells me, "God, Moshe, this is why I beat you. This is what you did, and this is why I did this." So how do we draw the line? And sometimes, he just shouts at me and says, "I love you," that I'm shouting at you. I don't feel you love me. I don't feel, because your expression of love to me should be by shouting at me. I don't think your expression of love to me is by probably comparing me with others. I want to be better than I'm saying this. So how do we make our children be the best they can be? And also, I know you understand what I'm saying. Like, how do we make them be the best they can be? By correcting them in love.
All right. Every other things, the way you run things in your house must be different from the way we run things in our house. And that's how uniquely beautiful houses are, families are, 1,000 family, 1,000, beauty, shades of color. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying that family is beautiful. Nothing is actually wrong with any family. But wherever love is missing, or if love is missing in anything, that thing will be, misunderstood. It will be misunderstood. I am not saying don't scold your children, or don't talk to your male children or male child, because some of us have two boys, or some have 4, some have 5. I really don't say that for myself. I think I'm good with it too. Now, okay, to Ross, that's why I'm just interchanging between male child, male children. Okay, now you will have to shout at some point, but let love be seen in that shout. You have to scold at some point. You have to beat at some point. This is Africa. Now, America is becoming, what it, or has become what it is, or is still becoming that kind of country, because these things are lacking discipline. You have to be firm and be in charge. Mothers should be in charge, and children should be in charge of. We all have different duties, so each of us should be in charge. Now, mothers, in your own place, in your own portion, in your own jurisdiction, make sure you are dispensing whatever you are dispensing in love and with love. Same goes for the children, and same goes for the father. Now, myself and my brother, we were crossing road, a very big road, sometimes, a few years ago. And, it was just walking majestically, and I saw a car coming with a very full speed. How do you expect me to talk to my brother? I should call his name and say, hey, walk fast now. Do quick now. I screamed because I can't lose him. I don't even want to imagine that. And not screaming could have cost me everlasting pain by now. So there are times you shout, there are times you beat, there are times you cuddle, there are times you hug so tight, there are times you play football together. So even in doing all of this, because you can love, you can buy gifts without love. You can play football together without love. You can do all these kind of things, nice things, take them out, go on vacation together without love. So all of our actions must be, tailored, or must be influenced, colored by love. In other words, I know you are a good science student. Love must be the prism through which we see life, through which we see family. Love alone. Like if I must be my son, I must not hate him for the rest of the day. You know that kind of thing. That because your son misbehaved and you have to scold him. I don't mean beating like, when these military people are beating civilians. I mean just the normal beating that a child deserves at that time. Because if that moment should pass, we shouldn't look back and say, hey, come, what did you do in the morning? And start beating for the offense committed in the morning. Because the child must have done many right things after. Yeah. So they should be scolded on the spot. So, and what revives us, I am not talking about religious love. I am talking about that deep love that is actually seen in some quarters as commitment. Some people do not believe in love. They are just committed to caring. They are committed to kindness, that no matter what happens, I will not stop being kind to my son. So imagine the greatest sin, God forbid, and they invite a father that, okay, is this your son? Say, okay, this is what your son has done. You look into your son's face and say, why? Don't hate him in public. Don't say, bad things to him in public. Ask why. That asking why will solve so many things. When you ask why, what, how, you are bringing the child will by himself walk out from whatever messy situation he has put himself. When we go back to the scriptures, God would ask the question, Adam, where are you? Where are you? Find yourself. Talk. So we shouldn't talk for them. We shouldn't think we understand everything about our children. We should ask them, allow ourselves to, believe them. When you ask them, are you telling me the truth? And he or she says, yes, daddy or mommy, I'm saying the truth. Believe them. Even the child is lying. Just believe, because he or she has said, I'm saying the truth. And now apply superior wisdom that is going to unveil the real thing that happened. So in answering that question, I've answered it in the simplest form. Love, our motivation must be love. The reason why I go out and I feel I must buy things for my children is because of love. The reason why I feel, oh, I must beat this child, or better still, that beat sounds, too tough for the modern mind. But, I must scold my child or my children is because I love them so much and I don't want them to see that error they've committed as a way of life. So that's why we must treat it. It is usually influenced and motivated by love.
Okay.
Let me stop there.
Thank you for your responses. I have a lot of questions to ask you because, reading the book, my eyes were open to a lot of stuff. So, but I won't ask all the questions so that, people will be curious to read the book. They will be interested. The book is it's a wonderful book. So everybody should read, not just fathers, not just the male folk, but everybody that is human should read the book. Because at a point or the other, either you are a son or you are a father. You are either of the two. So you should read the book. And if you are a female, you would give birth to a son. And even if you don't, you have brothers, you have male friends that should read it. And also you'll be able to give advice when you have your male folks around. So the book Bonding is really amazing. And you know what is making it more amazing? Because it's talking about something that the society has neglected, something that they've forgotten. Nobody cares about how the father fathers the home. Nobody cares about how the father is just provide for your children and that's all. Nobody cares about the role of fathers in the home. Everybody just cares about the mother. If a child doesn't do the assignment in the school, before they was what of your daddy? What of your mommy? The society has put so much responsibility on the mother that, has neglected the place of fatherhood, whereas the father has a very huge role to play in the home. So if you are an intending father, you are a son, whatever category you find yourself, please, you have to read the book. You have to read the book. Okay, so in closing, I want you to just say a few words that you'll be your closing words, your closing remark, before we wrap up the show tonight.
Okay. Thank you very much, Oluwakemi, for that beautiful advert. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's a book that will bless everyone. The book still bless me every day, anytime I picked it up. In fact, yesterday I was asking that, am I the one that authored this book? It's a fantastic material, masterpiece. Now, you asked the question, I think, when we started, that how did we get to this point? We got to this point after the Second World War. Men were fighting on the war front. So many guys, young men, above 18 were being drafted, some underage were being drafted into the military. So women had to, because before that particular time, 1943, women, they are seen as, full housewives. It has been it has been the responsibility of the man to go out, work, and bring money home. But during the World War, there was a necessity to make more weapons to provide for the family. So women started working, they started going out, they started occupying management role, they started, engaging themselves substantially in science, research, and, many other things, engineering and all that. So by the time the World War ended and the male folk came back, they discovered that the position they were occupying before the war are now being occupied by women. And that's how women became the breadwinner. And that has spread all across the world. So before, it wasn't like this. Now we have to accept the reality now. Now women are even seeing themselves as, in fact, there was one that called himself king. Yes, king. And there was that particular one last year. She was, because she's divorced, and she said people should wish her happy Father's Day too, because she's been the one taking care of her son. That is what our world has become. And then fathers, if you remember that in that book, I said I have to go back to knowing what it means to be a child myself. So before I'll be able to understand my children, sometimes it is good for us to pick up these nursery books. Those books will help us to be soft. Let's read their rhymes for them. Let's enjoy their games for them. Let's watch their cartoons. Those things will help us. Not all the time. We are very busy, and now we are even more busy. Let's leave that. Another reality is that the 70% of the people that are in prison were once in the prison. So because of that omission, because of somebody failed in his role as a father, perhaps due to a natural cause like death, and due to divorce or those kind of things, separation. Our children, when they get well, when they get better, the world becomes better. If we all take it as a duty to start taking care, looking after our children deliberately, before we know it, our nations, our communities, the world at large will become better, because children will start thinking right. Now, the world is on a very, very fast speed, and we need to speed up to be able to create the level of influence that is expected for this time. My good friend, my great friend and brother, Oluwashomba once told me that when he was in school, he met a guy, and that guy told him that, okay, he was doing stuff. And the guy would come around and ask him that, how come you are doing this? And we say, no, this is how it should be. And when he looks into the guy's life and he started addressing some things, the guy said, no, this is the pattern of life that I've always been used to. I'm used to street fight. I'm used to breaking bottles. So nobody ever told me he's wrong. And this is a duty of a father or a father figure. So some people just believe, some young men just believe this is how life is. It is normal for them to rape. It is normal for them to steal. It is normal for them to be in one crime or another crime. So they get themselves into the prison. When you release them, they will commit another crime and they will go back there. Some have been there for 3 times, 4 times. And you have even engaged some in conversation and they tell you that, is it not prison? It's not built for animals. That kind of scary statement. So fathers need to take charge. We need to take charge. We need to take charge. We need to be fully responsible. It is not about giving money. It's not about paying school fee. It's not about buying food. It's not about buying clothing. It's not about all that. Those things are very, very important. But there is a major need for us to be fathers indeed, to become a model dad. Somebody that in the next 7, 10, years, when somebody will engage your children or your child in a conversation and ask them, who is your mentor? Wouldn't it be great for them to say, my daddy? That would be awesome. Now you have many religious folks, they first see their pastors before their dad. They would have put their first pastor, their second pastor, their school pastor, and be saying, oh, happy Father's Day, happy Father's Day, happy Father's Day. So later, maybe a few hours later, they will discover that, oh, I didn't even mention my dad. I didn't use my dad picture. Then they will put their dad's picture. Oh, you should be all encompassing. We should be all encompassing. We should be their spiritual, leaders. We should be their mentor. We should be all that they need us to be. God has made us that complete for them. We all have fathers that are doing it right. And even in those that are doing it right, there are still things we need to put in place. I am not talking about perfection here. Materially, I cannot say I am perfect. And none of us is materially, physiologically, materially perfect. So we have to, revisit ourselves when we talk to our children, your son, that son of yours, that you feel, oh, is no more listening to you, and you prefer another child, you prefer that girl, you prefer that other son. When you think that you are taking so much away, so much joy away from yourself and from the child and from the entire family, is a big deal. And Kemi, I feel we should discuss this next week again, because we can't put everything, in this one program. There are so much to talk about. So I'll be glad if we can do this again next week or sometimes soon.
Okay. We would find a way of putting in this review, not about this fatherhood, because it's a whole lot of talk about fatherhood, like so much to talk about. So we'll look into it if we can talk about it next week or just bring it in some other time. So thank you so much for your time.
I'm grateful.
Thank you for agreeing to be on the other side of the program today.
I am grateful.
Thank you so much. And in conclusion, I'll just be wrapping up by saying that fathers, get involved in your children's lives. Your daughter's life, your son's life, very important. You have to be there through the whole process, through the journey of life. Don't you even get jealous when they all celebrate mothers? Don't you feel somehow that it's just mothers, mothers, mothers? Let your child, especially your male child, let him see you as his hero. Let him see you as somebody he can look up to. Let him see that whenever he gets into any trouble, the first point of call is his father. Be responsible for your children. Be a responsible father. Much more than just providing for the house, providing for the home. They need you to sit down with them. They need you to feel their pains. They need you to know what is going on in their school. They need you to know what is going on in their lives. They want you to know about their relationship. They want to get your wealth of experience. They want to tap from it. So please get involved in your children's life. It is very important. Also, from what he said, please do not assume. Assumption is very costly. The same way you were brought up, you don't have to bring your child up in that same way. Absolutely. Time is changing. We are evolving. The same method that worked for you then might not work for you now. Now you see a 4-year-old child is able to handle a phone very well. So you need to be a responsible father. You need to get involved in your child's life so that you'll be able to put him through what he's supposed to see on that phone and what he's not supposed to see. You're supposed to sit down with them and begin to control what they watch on TV. And not just leave it to the mother that is cooking in the kitchen, that is doing the laundry, that is doing everything. You want her to also come back to come and watch TV with the children. It's almost not going to be easy for her. So when you are around, please sit down with them, read the stories they are reading, read the books they are reading, try to watch the TV, the programs they are watching. It shows that you love them. It shows that you are interested in their life. It's not just saying, I love you, my child, not saying I love you, my son, but, seeing that you are interested and you are involved in his life. And, I was seeing that my secondary school, when they say PTA meetings, 80% of them are female. The rest, the male, maybe those men that they work nights or probably God knows what it is. Their children wives are not around and they come for PTA meetings. Surprise your child, go for the open day. And, because your child is not coming first, doesn't make him a dullard.
Absolutely.
Not all of you were first in your class too. So try to encourage your children, try to be there for them and not just the mother. I feel that when everybody in the society, the mother and the father, when they are performing their roles in the home, they will bring forth good children. They will give birth to responsible children. When the father does what's supposed to do and the mother does what's supposed to do, both of them are available for the children. They will have amazing children. So thank you so much for your time. On today's show, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much. Okay, so our author is very, very, very is very good, and he has decided to give 10 people a copy of the book. So I'll be sharing his WhatsApp contacts with you. If you know that you want to read the book, don't even say you know that as in you have to read the book. It's compulsory for you to read the book. This is his contact. Make sure you send your name and you write, I want to be a good dad. Or if you're a female, you say, I would like to my husband to be a good dad. So the first people that will send this to this WhatsApp contact I'll be calling, they'll get the book for free. So here's the contact 08064610941. 08064610941. Please do well to send him your chats on WhatsApp. And if you want to get the book, go to his website on www.pelum-Folarin.com. www.pelum-Folarin.com. And please do well to visit our website, www.shiningafritest.org. As I said earlier, Mediapedia is a subset of Shining Africans Testimony Ministry. So please do well to check what we have, do well to see the programs that we have lined up for you guys. I'm sure that you will love it and you will really want to be a part of it. So thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us today. We hope that we'll bring something very beautiful again next week. I remain your host, Oluwakemi Joanna Nifuoshi. See you next week. Bye.